A wealthy, arrogant couple strolls through the park, their eyes scanning for someone to belittle. When they spot a black man sitting quietly, they smirk and begin their cruel game, taunting him without a second thought. But what they don't know, he's not just any man, he's an undercover federal prosecutor, and they've just exposed their true nature to the wrong person. Watch as their perfect lives unravel in a way they never saw coming. The air in Prague was crisp that October afternoon, the golden leaves of Letná Park swirling in a gentle breeze. Alex Johnson sat on a weathered wooden bench, his worn leather jacket blending into the autumn hues. A notebook rested on his knee, its pages filled with scribbled observations, dates, and cryptic shorthand only he could decipher. His sharp hazel eyes flickered toward a couple strolling arm in arm across the park, Brad and Jessica Thompson. To the untrained eye, they were the picture of elegance. Brad in his tailored overcoat, Jessica with her designer scarf fluttering like a flag of privilege. But Alex knew better. He'd been tracking them for months. Alex wasn't an FBI agent or a prosecutor with a badge to flash. He was a journalist, a lone wolf with a nose for corruption and a pen that cut deeper than any blade. For years, he'd made a name for himself exposing extremist groups, neo-Nazis in Berlin, ultranationalists in Budapest, hate preachers in Stockholm. His latest obsession was the Thompsons, a wealthy American expat couple who'd settled in the Czech Republic under the guise of running a cultural foundation. Behind the polished facade, they were the architects of a sophisticated online network pumping out racist propaganda. Articles, videos, and memes designed to stoke division and violence across Europe. He'd first stumbled onto their trail 6 months ago, chasing a tip from an anonymous source about a site called Pure Legacy. The platform masqueraded as a heritage blog, but dripped with venom. Dog whistles about protecting European identity, veiled calls for ethnic cleansing, and doctored statistics blaming immigrants for every societal ill. Alex dug deeper, tracing the site's funding through shell companies to a Prague-based nonprofit, the Thompson Cultural Trust. The irony wasn't lost on him. 2 Americans preaching hate in a city that had survived centuries of its own scars. Today, he was here to watch them in the flesh. His recorder, a tiny device tucked into his jacket pocket, hummed silently as he jotted notes. Brad and Jessica had stopped near the park's fountain, their laughter ringing out as they posed for a selfie. To anyone else, they were just another pair of tourists soaking in the charm of Prague's skyline. But Alex saw the cracks, the way Brad's eyes darted around, scanning for threats, or how Jessica's smile tightened when a group of Romani kids dashed past, kicking a soccer ball. He flipped back through his notebook, reviewing the evidence he'd amassed. Screenshots of their encrypted chats, leaked by a disgruntled former employee. Bank records showing payments to far-right influencers. Even a grainy photo of Brad shaking hands with a known skinhead leader at a private event in Dresden. It was damning, but not enough. Not yet. He needed something irrefutable, something that would stick when he dropped the story. The Thompsons started walking again, heading straight toward his bench. Alex tensed, lowering his head as if engrossed in his notes. He didn't expect what came next. "Hey, you!" Brad's voice cut through the park's quiet hum, sharp and commanding. Alex glanced up, feigning surprise. Brad loomed over him, his broad shoulders casting a shadow. Jessica stood a step behind, her arms crossed, a smirk playing on her lips. "Yeah, you," Brad said again, louder. "What's with the scribbling? You some kind of weirdo?" Alex's pulse quickened, but he kept his face neutral. "Just writing. It's a free country, right?" Jessica snorted, stepping forward. "Not for long, if people like you keep letting it go to hell." Her voice was syrupy sweet, but the venom was unmistakable. She tilted her head, sizing him up. "Look at you. Bet you're one of those bleeding heart types, huh? Always crying about diversity while the rest of us suffer." A few passers-by glanced over, but no one stopped. Alex's fingers tightened around his pen. He could feel the recorder whirring, capturing every word. This wasn't just evidence. It was gold. "Funny you'd say that," he replied calmly, meeting her gaze. "I'd think people with your kind of money wouldn't have much to complain about." Brad's face darkened. "Watch your mouth, pal. You don't know who you're talking to." "Oh, I think I do," Alex said, his voice low but steady. He stood, slipping the notebook into his pocket. Brad Thompson, born in Ohio, made a fortune in real estate. Jessica, née Carter, former PR exec turned philanthropist, moved to Prague 3 years ago to preserve culture. How am I doing so far? The couple froze, their smugness evaporating. Jessica's eyes narrowed. "Who the hell are you?" "Just a guy who pays attention," Alex said, brushing past them. He could feel their stares burning into his back as he walked away, but he didn't look back. His heart pounded, not from fear, but from the thrill of knowing he'd just lit the fuse. Back in his cramped apartment near the Vltava River, Alex worked through the night. The recording played on loop as he typed, his fingers flying across the keyboard. Every insult, every sneer, became a quote in his draft. He wove it into the bigger picture. Their fake charity, their hate network, their ties to violent groups. He attached the leaked documents, the photos, the financial trails. By dawn, the story was 5,000 words of dynamite, titled "The Thompsons' Empire of Hate: How Wealth Funds Europe's New Racism." He sent it to his editor at The Sentinel, a scrappy online outlet known for fearless exposés. Within hours, it was live. Alex watched the hits climb, 10,000, then 50,000, then trending across X and beyond. The comments flooded in. Outrage, disbelief, calls for justice. By noon, Czech news outlets had picked it up, and protests were forming outside the Thompsons' lavish villa in Malá. Brad and Jessica's perfect world unraveled fast. Their foundation's donors pulled out. Their social media accounts, once a curated gallery of luxury and virtue, were swarmed with accusations. A grainy video surfaced of Jessica screaming at a reporter, her composure shattered. Brad tried to flee to Germany, only to be detained at the border on an Interpol alert triggered by Alex's evidence. Alex didn't gloat. He sat in a cafe near Old Town Square, sipping black coffee and scrolling through the fallout on his phone. The Thompsons weren't finished. They had money, lawyers, and a knack for survival. But their mask was off, and the world had seen their ugliness. That was enough for now. He thought about the park, their taunts, the way they'd chosen him as their punching bag without knowing he'd turn their words into their undoing. Racism wasn't dead. It never would be. It thrived in shadows, in whispered slurs and coded posts, in the hearts of people like the Thompsons who dressed hate in silk and called it heritage. But Alex knew the truth had power too, a slow-burning fire that could light up the dark. A message pinged on his phone, an anonymous tip about a far-right rally planned in Warsaw. He smiled faintly, finishing his coffee. The story wasn't over. It never was. The tale of Alex Johnson and the Thompsons leaves you wondering, how many more Brads and Jessicas are out there, hiding behind wealth and charm? And who's watching them? In a world where hate festers in plain sight, the fight for justice isn't a sprint. It's a marathon. One that Alex and maybe others like him will keep running.